You know, someone said, well, when you talk about this willpower, you know, there's some stuff going through the minds of some of our viewers. It says, would it be okay, would you want the government to put a law, for instance, asking every government official to put his child in some of these public schools? Maybe by so doing, something would trigger off that willpower for you to really fix the things in the education sector.
But you see, incidentally, many of the people at the level of the government officials don't have children at the basic school level again. And you know, some lawyers will tell you that you will be infringing on their fundamental right. If my child is already attending a school and you appoint me to a political position, and because you have a law that said my child must attend a public school, what about the psychological effect it will have on the child for dislocating him or her from friends that child has made for some years? I was in Edo State, but my children were in Lagos. You wouldn't have expected me to move them to Edo State when my husband is in Lagos. And when Edo State is a temporary thing, political appointment is a temporary thing, except for those that see political appointment as a career.
A professional politician.
Yes. It is difficult. It's only to make sure if the leader is ready to ensure that this happens, whether the child of the political office holder is in public school or not is irrelevant. I did the things I did in Edo State. My children were not in Edo State. But I know that what was going on was wrong, and it has to be corrected, because those are the children of other people. And you see, the mistake we always make, when you ignore these children, who are your children's cousins, your children's relations, there will be the poor relations of your children. There will be a burden on your children. So no matter the high quality that you have exposed your children to, these other people that you've not been able to empower will be a burden. Is either they latch onto your children and become leeches on them, or they turn around and organize to kill or kidnap them. So it is even for our own good to ensure that every child is properly educated.
Is there any policy that you implemented in Edo State that you think perhaps may just work on a national scale, which you think they should pick up?
The even redistribution of teachers. Because when the government of Comrade Adams Oshomole came in, we had in Benin City, the state capital, we had in some schools up to 5-6 teachers teaching one subject in a school. In some schools outside Benin, particularly in the rural areas, in some cases, very nice cases, you have just 3 teachers, including the principal, in the whole school. And we felt that was wrong. You are teaching, 6 of you teaching English language, for instance. There are 3 streams of classes: SS1, SS2, SS3, JS1, JS2, JS3. These are different schools. So how do you now explain that 6 people will be teaching 3 streams? And most times they don't have more than A, B, SS1A, SS1B. So we had to move many of them outside Benin. If you don't like it, resign and go.
Did it work?
It did work reasonably. More than 85% it worked. more than 85%. Because we discover some teachers have spent 20, 25 years in a particular school. There was even a case of a teacher that was 30 years in a school.
How long are they supposed to stay before they move to another school?
We made it if you have spent 5 years in a school, you move.
Is that law?
There's no law.
But how does it help? Tell us about that.
You know, by the time you have spent 5 years, it is believed that you have been able to graduate a set of students. You are teaching English or you are teaching physics, SS1, SS2, SS3. You have prepared them and they have written WAEC and NECO.
But what happens? What about the issue of consistency?
That is why I'm saying 5 years. You are teaching a particular group. You have taught them for 3 years. And these 3 years they need to write the exam. The senior secondary. We don't do physics in junior secondary. We don't do chemistry. We don't do biology. Those are the core things.
What about teaching aids? Do they still use the chalk and the board?
It's chalk and board. Though some places they are now using whiteboard. In Edo State, we introduced whiteboard.
Okay.
But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond chalk and board. What about the other instructional materials? The teachers that are teaching, do they have copies of the national curriculum? Do they do they even know what they're supposed to teach?
Who should provide it?
The system should provide it. That is the investment I'm talking about, investing in education. We have to provide the curriculum for the teacher so that at least you know what you are going to teach, what you're expected to teach. And at the end of the term, these and these are the topics you are supposed to teach. And by the time you do this, you are now able to be sure at least you have covered. Some teachers have not seen the national curriculum on the subject they are teaching. It's just on hearsay. And if you don't know what you are supposed to prepare, every exam has, for WAEC, there's a syllabus. And you have to teach according to the syllabus. And if you don't teach them according to the syllabus, and they get there, the topics you taught them are not the topics that are in the exam, that is failure.
Okay, so that accounts for the failures we're having now.
Part of it.
Okay, I want to ask a question, Chamberlain. Yeah. We used to have in Nigeria, at least I grew up seeing that we used to have foreign teachers in the public schools. We used to have foreign students in our public schools as well as in exchange programs and all. Can we ever get back to that point?
We can get back to that. Some private schools are some of the highbrow private schools are doing that. But we also have to accept that many of the public schools have funds problem. Many of them don't have the kind of money that education is a capital intensive project. It's very capital intensive.